All right, everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive.
Always.
Today, we're taking a look at something we all use every single day: municipal water systems.
Yeah, the stuff we kind of take for granted.
Exactly. But the journey that water takes to get to our taps is surprisingly fascinating.
Hmm.
So today, we're going to trace that journey from the source all the way to our faucets and dive into how these systems are designed, how that water is kept clean and safe, and what happens when there's just not enough to go around.
And I think what's really interesting to me about these systems is how invisible they are to most of us.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Like, we turn on the tap and just expect clean water to be there. We don't really think about all the work that goes into it.
So true. It's an entire world happening under our feet, and most of us never even think about it. I was reading that some cities are even starting to use AI to help manage their water systems now,
Oh, wow.
using sensors to detect leaks in real time.
Huh.
Which makes sense. I mean, can you imagine trying to find a tiny leak in like hundreds of miles of types without technology like that?
It's mind-boggling when you think about it. And the challenges go beyond just finding those leaks, right?
Right.
You have to design these systems to meet the needs of a growing population. Think about climate change and all the impacts that that is having.
Right.
You have to think about all these things when you're designing these systems. It's like a puzzle, but the pieces are constantly changing shape.
Totally. It's crazy how much goes into it. And then on top of that, you have to make sure the water is safe to drink. I mean, it's one thing for it to taste good,
Right.
but it's another thing entirely to make sure it's not going to make us sick.
Absolutely. Public health is a huge concern with municipal water systems.
Have you ever had to deal with one of those boil water advisories in your area?
Thankfully, I haven't personally,
Okay.
but I have worked with communities that have had to deal with those advisories, and it really highlights how important it is to have really rigorous testing and treatment processes in place. Like, did you know that some treatment plants use ultraviolet light to kill bacteria?
Well,
Yeah, it's a completely chemical-free way to make sure that the water is safe to drink. Pretty cool stuff.
wow, that is super cool. It's like a sci-fi solution to a very real problem.
It is.
So I've talked about the incredible design and the technology involved in making sure our water is clean, but we can't ignore a pretty big issue: droughts and water shortages. It feels like these stories are constantly in the news these days.
Yeah, you're right. It's definitely a growing concern. And I think it's where we really see that it's not just about engineering, it's about resource management and conservation too.
Yeah, for sure.
And there are some really fascinating solutions out there that cities are starting to implement. One thing that I've seen is using reclaimed water.
Reclaimed water.
Yeah, so basically it's wastewater that's been highly treated.
Oh, okay.
And then it can be used for things like irrigation or industrial processes.
Interesting.
So it's a way to sort of stretch those water resources further.
Right. So with all of these challenges and advancements and everything, what does this all mean for the average person? I mean, should we be worried?
Well, I don't think it's about being worried necessarily. I think it's about being informed.
Well, okay.
Understanding where your water comes from, the challenges that your community faces, and thinking critically about your own water usage habits. I think it's a call to action for all of us to be more mindful.
Definitely. I never thought I'd find water systems so fascinating, but
Right.
it really makes you realize that clean, accessible water is a privilege.
Yeah,
And it takes a ton of work from a lot of people to make that happen.
exactly. It's an incredible system that we often take for granted, and it's worth appreciating. Next time you turn on that tap, I want you to think about that journey that your water has taken.
I know I will.
Think about all the people and all the technology working behind the scenes to make sure that it's there for you.
Yeah. And it's a great reminder that we're all connected in this, what did you call it? The intricate dance of water.
The intricate dance of water.
I love that. And what happens upstream really does affect everyone downstream. So we need to start thinking about water as a global resource.
Yeah,
That's something to ponder.
absolutely.